Hey, what's up everyone? Foxy here. Have you ever wanted to get into Path of Exile 1 but worried it's too complex or too late? Maybe you tried with your mates so you couldn't quite get into it? Well, in this video, I want to show you how you can do that. And with 3.26, the new expansion just around the corner for Path of Exile, there's never been a better time to get in. So, first of all, I want to say that I was actually pretty late to the party with Path of Exile. I only joined a few leagues back, and now with a few thousand hours under my belt, I want to show you a few tips on how you can get into it without an emotional guru, a spiritual revelation, or a university degree. So let's jump straight into it. So first of all, it's going to be controversial. Do not download anything. Do not download filters. Well, download the game. But don't download filters, Awaken PoE Trade, Gary's mod. Just don't download anything just yet. Just think of it from a perspective of a new player. If you have to download more apps than you have games, it's not a great experience. There's always time to download those things later when you know you enjoy the game. So that would be my first tip. So for my second tip, and kind of flying in the face of what I just said, is use a guide. It's the only third-party resource I think you should use at the start. And the reason for this is it gives you a little bit of progression, a little bit of structure, and that little bit of dopamine tickling your brain to get you through. Now, I personally use Max Roll. I use their leveling guides and their league starter guides. And it saves you from having to open this and having to say 3 Hail Marys or getting a blood pressure spike higher than Elon Musk at a rally. So I really like Max Roll. I think they're a great site and they keep stuff up to date. So how long does it take to get this guide up and running? About a minute. You just go here, basically. You have 6 starting kind of archetypes that you can use. They're the typical stuff like the Ranger uses a bow, surprise, surprise. You have the Witch who uses spells and minions. The Marauder who uses big two-handed weapons, melee stuff. I know there's a lot of like experienced players who are going, well, actually, you can kind of play anything with anything. It's true, you can, but they're kind of the main archetypes, and there's some really good league stuff to that. So that would be my first tip. Use that guide as a little bit of structure to keep you going. So tip number 3 is simple. Just play the game, enjoy it. The campaign is good. Maybe not as good as Path of Exile 2, that's up for debate, but it's a good campaign. It will really help you understand your class as you go through. Just play it, just enjoy it. Don't worry about it. If you really get stuck, there are like leveling guides. Max Roll has one that is pretty good. And also, like, don't worry about trading. Honestly, it's like, you know, when you brought your like a picture back to your parents, they stuck it on the fridge. You're gonna love that picture, but no one cares about the gear you find at the start of the game till maybe mid to late mapping, which is the end game. Honestly, don't worry about the gear, analyzing it. Basically, look for rare items. Ideally with the same number of sockets and the color of sockets that you need for your class. Bish bash bosh, done. That's it. Just play, enjoy. So tip number 4 and the final one for the campaign is league mechanics. Now, league mechanics are sort of like mini games, events within Path of Exile that's spoon-fed to you throughout the campaign that will appear at the end game, and is mostly what you do in the end game during your what's called mapping. Now, my recommendation here is remember the mechanics, the league mechanics you enjoy, and the ones that you don't enjoy, because at the end of the campaign, you'll start to be able to specialize via what they call the Atlas tree, the different league mechanics that you like, and block the ones you don't like. So it's good to just make a mental note as you go through what you're enjoying and what you don't. But it's not a big deal. Okay, so now you've completed the campaign, you're starting to get that little dopamine tickle. You're like, actually, I might like this game. Now is the time to start downloading the extra stuff outside of PoE. Maybe you want the filter earlier. It depends on what you like. I personally think the filter can come a little bit earlier than this. I mean, you probably want to filter before the end of the campaign, let's be honest. But it's really simple to do. So to get the filters, all you have to do is get a NeverSync filter by going to the Path of Exile website, going to the filter section, selecting the filter, and going to follow. And then you'll be able to find that within your game, within your filter section in the settings. Turn that on. And jobs are good. And there's various levels of strictness of those filters that you can tweak. Another one you might want to try is Awaken PoE Trade or Sidekick. That is like a pricing tool. But again, you probably don't need that till the end game, if I'm honest. And again, Path of Building, which is a really good website for working out your DPS. Don't touch that. Don't worry about that for quite a while, until like maybe a few leagues in generally. One more thing you might want to look at is league starters, and there's many guides online. Again, Max Roll has some really good league starters, and what league starters are basically classes or builds that you can start right from the beginning, and they'll progress you all the way to the early end game. And what you can do, and what I personally recommend for your first time playing, is use the leveling guides and then transition to a league starter once you know you're enjoying the game. And then you can sort of pick your end game archetype, and that's kind of what you're going to be at the end of the game. And that's when some really cool stuff happens. So that's a really nice way of just sort of easing yourself into it rather than going straight from the beginning and maybe making it a bit overly complex. So you completed the campaign. Now what? Well, now you're onto the end game, and arguably the best end game of any ARPG to date. Now, what you do is you do mapping, and there's yet another stroke-inducing passive tree. Again, don't stress about this. What I recommend doing is looking for a starter passive tree just to get your map sustain. But after that, do whatever you want. There is no right answer. There will be a few juicers and endgame players who will want to do a very specific tree, who know what they're doing. But honestly, just as I said earlier, put in the points in the league mechanics you enjoy, and you can block the ones you don't enjoy. And what's great about this tree is it basically allows you to specialize in things you enjoy doing. And then you go into your maps and those events occur, and allows you to sort of specifically look for loot that other people might not get because they don't do those mechanics, and you can sell those or you can use themselves. And this is what makes this end game super, super compelling. So again, I would recommend not stressing too much about this. Maybe get a starter tree and just going wherever you fancy towards the league mechanics. And you can do something as simple as typing in, there's a league mechanic. So let's say you like the league mechanic bestiary. You kind of type in beast in the top search bar, and you can see on the Atlas map where you need to go, and you can just path towards that as an example. So that's what I recommend doing there. And then my final bit of advice is, honestly, do not sweat not knowing everything. This is a game where you play for literally thousands of hours and still not know half of it. There's a massively popular streamer and YouTuber called Scissorin who does literally university guide for PoE. And that's kind of what makes this game so great, is how amazing it is and deep, but also is what makes it really complex and hard to get into. But just remember, there is probably 99% of people don't even know half of this game. And what I recommend doing is what I do every league, is every league pick a different build or league mechanic that you want to learn and do that. I picked this poison conversion into chaos build. It was terrible, but I had a lot of fun and I learned a lot doing it. So as a summary of what we've covered, play the game. Don't download anything until you know you enjoy the game. Use a guide. It generally helps at the start. Don't worry about trading. Remember some of your league mechanics as you go along so that when you do get to the end game, you can then specialize in that end game. So hopefully this has been useful. If it has, let me know. I can also do some mechanic guides if that's something you want. And if you like this, chuck me a like and subscribe. Hopefully you did. I'm rambling now, so I'm going to go. I don't have an outro. Bye.